Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Alex, and today we're going to be looking at setting up Nextcloud on Unraid. We're also going to be setting up the MariaDB application on Docker, and this is going to be used as our Nextcloud database. So we're going to get the two Dockers installed and set up together. I'll walk you through all the steps, and let's jump into it. So what is Nextcloud? So it's basically the alternative that's self-hosted on your own hardware with your own storage. It's the alternative to Google Drive, Dropbox, the Microsoft OneDrive, and of course Apple. There's of course lots of other providers out there, but Nextcloud allows you to do everything those services do, but no monthly cost essentially. It lets you sync your data across all your devices, your computers, laptops, iPads, Android devices, you name it. And it also lets you share a link to external users. So people you don't want to give access to your Nextcloud service, but you want to share a PDF or something with them. It's a really good solution for that. So we're gonna jump into first setting up MariaDB, and the reason we're gonna do that is because Nextcloud does require you to have a separate database solution. We're also going to be looking at how to back up that database. That is a request that somebody has asked. So we're going to be setting up a database backup solution after we've got our Nextcloud set up. And yeah, after setting up Maria database, we're going to set up Nextcloud, and then we're going to set up a database backup solution. I also do want to point out that because MariaDB is a Docker, if you do run, weekly, monthly, bi-quarterly, quarterly backups using the community applications app data backup, of course your database would be backed up. But if you did want something independent, we are going to cover that today as well. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to head on over to our Unraid server. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to need to get Maria database set up. So we'll head on over to the Community Applications tab, and we're going to search for MariaDB. And from here, we're not going to use the official one. We're going to use the Linux server repository. And we're going to go to install. And here, we're going to leave the default port. And we're going to leave, well, actually, we're going to change the database password. So set this to something that you're going to remember. We're going to name the first database. And for this, we're just going to call it Nextcloud. And the MySQL user is, this is the super user for your database Docker. So this is going to be the user you use to create any passwords, any additional databases. So you need to remember this as well as your MySQL password. So yes, we're going to change this to admin, and again, set a strong password that you're going to remember. And then here we can access external databases, but we're just going to clear that out and click on apply. So we'll let that finish. All right, so that's all done. Now the next thing we need to do is get Nextcloud. So we'll just search for that. And here we're going to use the Linux repository. And we're going to use the latest template. So here, my reverse proxy uses port 443. So we're actually going to change that. I'm going to just put 4743 because I know that port's not being used. And remember to always check your Docker allocations. Here's all the ports being used by your Dockers. So we can see that 4743 is not being used. And then here we need to set the path for our Nextcloud data. So that's going to be a share where all the data that's uploaded to Nextcloud for your users is going to be stored. Now, what I did is I went into my shares and I actually created a share for Nextcloud. And the reason I did this is because I wanted it to store on the cache drive first and then copy over to the array at night. So for me, I'm just going to put in the Nextcloud path, but for you, you can do it however you like. But these are my recommended ways of setting this up. So I'm just going to go apply, and we are going to wait for this to finish. All right, so that's all finished up now. Now, one thing I want you to be aware of is that when the Docker container for Nextcloud starts for the first time, it does take quite a while. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the, no, not the console, the logs. And here we see that it's initializing and that it can take a while. So I'm going to leave this up in real time so that you can see for yourself how long it actually takes for this to get started and to not delete it and just think that it's not working. So yeah, I'm going to just leave this up, and then as soon as it's done, we'll jump right back into it. All right, so that took quite a while, so I probably won't leave that whole thing in the video, but yeah, as you can see, it took almost 5 minutes. So now we're going to start getting this set up. So we're going to jump into the web UI, close out of the logs there. And the first time we get logged in here, if we're going to be using the reverse proxy or tunneling to get this set up, yeah, we're gonna get this connection as not private, but that'll go away as soon as we get it set up with our subdomain. So I want to point out that the database configuration menu is a little screwy. So this first tab is for SQLite. That's the built-in database, which is really low performance. The MySQL MariaDB radio tab is right here. And then if you're using Postgres, it's right here. So for us, we're going to first start getting it set up with the admin username. And then we're going to set a good password. And now we're going to, because we're using MariaDB, we're going to select this radio tab. And then the account, remember, was admin. The database password is the password that we set. I'm just going to retype it just in case. The database name was Nextcloud. And then the host is our Unraid server IP address, and then the port 3306. And then from there, we're going to click install. Now, this will take a minute to get all installed and ready for us to start setting things up within the Nextcloud dashboard. So if you get a timeout, don't worry. We'll just give a refresh and we'll send again. And it's good to go now. So now we can get signed in with our admin account. Okay, must have still been getting set up. So we know that when we see this little pop-up here that we're good to go. So if we click on Nextcloud on all your devices, it'll give you some links to get it all set up on your PC, Mac, iPhone, Android, what have you. So this is how we connect to it locally. So what we're going to do next is we're going to have to get the Um, we're going to have to get it set up with our reverse proxy, as well as edit the config file for Nextcloud using your text editor or whatever you use to edit any configuration files. So we're going to jump into that next. It's really simple to do, and I'll show you an example of how to do it. All right, so with Nextcloud up and running now, what we need to do is we need to make it accessible from outside of our home network. So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using my reverse proxy. And I'm just going to add a proxy host, and I've already set this up on my web host. So I'm going to do nextcloud.familyio.ca. I'm going to use the HTTPS scheme. So 192.168.1.121, and I set the port to 4743. I'm going to go over to SSL, and I'm going to request a new SSL, and I'm going to do HTTP to support, and agree and save. What is this? I'll put a space in there. Okay, so we need to take that out. Nextcloud dot no familyio.ca. Okay, and then next. All right, so if we click on that, we should get a warning that it's not accessible. Yeah, because it's an untrusted domain. So we actually have to add that into the trusted domains in the config file. So we're going to do that. So what we'll have to do is go over to our, back to our Unraid instance, and we'll go over to shares. I think it's in app data. Nextcloud. Yes, it's in app data. Config.php. So I'm not going to open that up because it has my password in there. So I'll open up the sample. No, it's not in here. So I'm just going to quickly create a sample. So I'll jump right back in here in a second. Okay, so here's an example of what my file looks like, but I've obviously changed a few things. So what we need to do is we need to add in our trusted domain here. So what we can do is we can just copy this. Actually, let's copy the whole line. Copy, enter, paste, and we're just going to change this to nextcloud.familyio.ca. So you can go ahead and save that and get that into your config file. And then from there, you should be able to log into your instance without that warning coming up. So we'll go ahead and try that now. I almost forgot we need to restart the server. So we'll go back to Docker and we will do a restart. Okay, so one thing to note, it does take a minute for Nextcloud to get booted up. So I'll try rebooting again. And, yeah, it's good to go now. Okay, so let's try nextcloud.familyio.ca, and we can now log in. Perfect. Oh, I keep putting in the wrong password. I think that's what the issue is. All right, there we go. So now we are logged in locally. So this is what some of the tabs look like here. So in our files, we got photos and we got activity. So it looks like anytime we do something on Nextcloud, it is going to be tracked here. All right, so what about getting logged in on a device? Let's check that out. All right, so I got my iPhone up here. So we'll get into Nextcloud. And depending on what you wanted to do, I'm not going to allow notifications. And I'm going to log in. So here it's going to want our server address. So we're just going to do whatever we set it up as. And this will work if you're using it locally as well. You just can't use it outside of your home network. So we're going to get logged in. I'm going to log in with the username and password that we set. Grant access. And we're now connected on our device. So if I go off my home Wi-Fi network, I'm able to access all these things just like I would being inside. So a couple of the differences from accessing outside is going to be the limited speed to your cellular provider. So if you're transferring big files, that's not gonna be the best experience, and also your download speed and upload speed of whatever. So your download speed on your home network is gonna factor into the limit of upload that you can send to it from outside of your network. And then, of course, the amount of upload speeds or access that whatever provider you're using outside of your home will play a limit as well. So, but the same things factor in when you're using Dropbox or Google Cloud and all that fun stuff. So that's pretty much it for getting Nextcloud set up. So we're going to exit out of this. And then we're going to look at what we can do to back up our databases. So one of the first things that I do is I do the app data backup, and I use the app data backup plugin. It's a really good tool, and I run it once a month, and that backs up all my Docker containers and the app data folder, as well as the Docker file. So that's one way to do it. The next is we can go to community applications and we can look up some backup options. But you know what? Why don't we head over to ChatGPT and see what the Unraid bot has to say. So I'm just going to bring this up here. So what are some simple solutions for backing up my databases in Unraid? So this is the number one. This is actually what I use. You can manually do it using the database dump, or you can use a backup Docker container. So MySQL dump Docker, PG dump, or Duplicati, or Restek. Or you can back up to the cloud using rclone, store backups on an Unraid share, or use a snapshot system. So we don't really need to jump into how to do it. It looks like that should be a separate video. But the easiest and simplest way is to do the community app backup. And that is a great tool. What else do we got here? MySQL dump. Okay, well, let's see what's in here. EB backup. Okay, what's this? Database backup. Well, let's check it out. So backup location, backups, DB. That ain't it. User backup database. Okay, backup all. MySQL database hosts. So that is 121. Oh. So I've never set this up, so we're doing it for the first time together. Okay, so the database user, we set that to admin. I'm not going to put that password in. It is not encrypted. So you would put your password in here, which I'm going to do, and then I'm going to hit apply. For the database hosts, server's name. Yeah, I'm not sure about this. Yeah, I'm just going to put in the actual host, and hopefully that grabs it. So I'm going to put in my password and then apply it, and we'll jump back in and see what happens. All right, so we're going to let it do its thing, and then we'll check the logs and see what's going on with it. All right, so that's all done. Now we're going to check the logs. Okay. Looks like it completed. Let's check our directory. So nothing in there. So I don't think it liked that. Yeah, I don't think it liked that configuration. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the configuration to be MariaDB, and we'll see if that works. Okay, so I went ahead and made that change. Let's check the logs. Okay. Let's see. Back to our shares. Backup. Database. Nothing in there. Okay, so I'll need to do a video on getting that set up, but what I have had complete success with is using the community applications app data backup. This is tried, true, and tested. It works great, and you can schedule it to run automatically. So yeah, if you want a foolproof way to do it, as well as back up all your other Docker containers, this is the route to go. So what I'll do is I will find a standalone solution for backing up databases specifically. And then in the same video, I'll do a tutorial on how to do the CA app data backup. So yeah, I think that sums this video up. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. Remember to join the Discord server, and if you found this video useful at all, feel free to give $1 or something up there if you can. But yeah, until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy.